I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Vita and Chip and Culpy.
So this is SABATON, the Lost Battalion.
Have we done SABATON before?
We have not done SABATON before.
Okay.
So this is
been asking
people have been asking for a while about SABATON, and we actually have a SABATON record somebody gave to us. So SABATON, I'm actually
might be coming out with a new record soon, or new album.
Who, SABATON?
Same thing, yeah.
Who?
Or at least that's what I thought.
Who do you know that's asked for SABATON?
By name?
Yeah.
Oh, honey, I don't know. Do you know someone?
No, but I know that there's been a lot of people been asking for SABATON.
I know that a bunch of people in the comments were asking for it, and I know that one of our patrons had asked for it, but they asked for a different SABATON song.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually pretty excited to hear SABATON. We just got done a debate, the first ever Middle America debate. So if you want to be angry, go to the site Middle America Vin and Sori, and then you can see it from there. How do you think it went? How do you think the debate went? What do you think won?
You.
Who in your objective opinion?
In my objective opinion, I think that you won, but I recognized within that debate that I could not be a moderator because I would just side with you too much. I think that Bricktown did a good job moderating.
Yeah, Bricktown is like the he's like the
jack of all trades.
He's like the Swiss Army knife of YouTube.
Swiss Army knife. Yeah. Yeah.
He's probably editing the video right now. So. Anyway, so go there if you want to see that stuff. If you don't want to be mad at me, stay on this channel. And then
or go to mine. Be mad at my kids.
My Sori Life. She's gonna do an interview with me soon.
Oh yeah, we haven't done our interviews.
We haven't done our interview series. We can do it.
We have so much to do.
We can do it today.
Interview series and.
All right. All right. So let's do it. The Lost Battalion.
Go.
SABATON.
Their land as they made their stand, they stood strong and the legend still lives on.
That is not what I expected.
1918, the Great War rages on. Our battalion is lost and we are gone. Under fire, there's nothing they can do. There's no way they can get a message through. Suffer heavy losses as the battle carries on. Liberty division standing strong. Far from their land as they made their stand, a disregarded demand. It's surrender or die and the stakes are high. They live and they die, there's no time for goodbye. Weapon in hand as they made their stand, still disregarding demand. They would never comply, they would rather die. Now through the blockade they were finally saved. Friendly fire munitions running low. The supplies they were dropped upon their foe. 1918, the war still rages on. The battalions still trapped in the Argonne. Chose not to surrender. They chose victory or defeat. Fallen brothers resting by their feet. Far from their land as they made their stand, a disregarded demand. It's surrender or die and the stakes are high. They live and they die, there's no time for goodbye. Weapon in hand as they made their stand, still disregarding demand. They would never comply, they would rather die. Now through the blockade they were finally saved.
that is not at all what I expected.
I had to switch.
Me too.
Because I hear SABATON, I'm like, SABATON.
I thought it was going to be...
Yeah! And then it was like, it was kind of like Iced Earthy. Oh, you know, operatic type of thing.
Yeah.
So it took me about 45 seconds to like get back into the mode, but because we have so many different genres to pick from, I was able to get into the mode.
Oh, me too.
If I would have heard this song like 4 months ago, I'd have probably been on some ignorant shit, like, oh my god, It would have completely distracted me.
Well, it reminded me of something like a Disney type of...
Well,
it had that uplifting sound and song
like if
to
they
it.
did a cartoon about the Lost Battalion, then
this would be the
soundtrack
right
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just a sucker for you know, exploits in jihad.
Oh yeah, I know you are. Yeah.
You know, like when anytime, you know, I've read so many chronicles of war in, you know, because there's this theory on, you know, what makes a good soldier. What's the makeup that makes a good soldier? So you just, there's no way to telescope what the person's gonna do
in a given situation.
Yeah, there've been, you know, in the 80s when we were in Grenada, you know, they've been highly trained, hardcore. I knew a dude, hardcore Navy SEAL dude, and he had, they were in Overwatch, and the guy had the scope, and he had the RPG, and they're like, get him. And it was his first time killing someone. And, you know, SEAL made it through buds, made it through everything, and he got, you know, he went to Grenada. Some of his buddies already died. They got dropped in the ocean. Some of the guys didn't make it during a storm. So anyway, he had the guy sighted, and they had him, and he couldn't do it. So
I feel like there's something wrong with me. I feel like I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Somebody else had to do it. I mean, when they were in combat, he was able to do it. But it was the idea of killing someone who wasn't fighting, but the guy was in a supply line.
What?
Then you have regular.
Like you know they'll have like movies, and they'll have like there's like a bad guy, you know, whatever, and he's with his family.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't snipe him in front of his kid.
Yeah.
That'd be too much. I couldn't do it.
It depends on what he did.
And if it was your only chance.
Yeah,
I'm saying I feel like I'd have a hard time with that.
Depends
but
on
the
what
guy
he did.
that's on the, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me. But again, you don't know what you're gonna do in a situation.
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, that's why there's always studies. That's why guys in psychological warfare end up writing propaganda for us. So usually psychological warfare operatives, they're supposed to write propaganda for the people that we're going into. So like, for example, before we went into Fallujah, we dropped like, I don't know, 10,000 flyers.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to be here, we'll kill you.
Yeah.
You know, there's one flyer and the guy's with his family eating a cheeseburger or whatever, chilling out, and everybody's around him and everybody's like this, all happy. Then there's another one where he's just dead and his wife is crying over him. And it's like, you want A, you don't want B.
Right, so leave before we come.
Right,
Yeah.
well, what happens is, we also use that, this is open source now, so, I mean, we also use that with our own people to get people in the mindset of killing people that need to be killed. Because, you know, if you're fighting guerrilla warfare, they're not in a suit. They're in shirts and windbreakers and sandals. It's harder to kill somebody with that getup than in a guy who you think is a trained military person. So he couldn't do it. Navy SEAL, he couldn't do it. He couldn't blitz the dude with the RPG. He couldn't do it. So somebody else had to do it, and of course everybody was like, "The fuck is wrong with you, man?" So
did he eventually come out of it and be able to do?
Well, yeah, in combat he was fine. So dudes are shooting at him, he's fine. But the other stuff, no. But then there was this regular army guy who was there, and he was fine. He was fine clipping all those dudes. He was fine. So you can't tell. How do you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, somebody in that crew is like, they're surrounded by Germans. And somebody said, nah, we're gonna fight or die, that's it.
I do like that heart.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a
And then what, their gear, their stuff got dropped with the enemy?
Yeah, it was too close.
Can you imagine?
It's too close.
Ah! Can you imagine being the person that dropped it?
Yeah, I mean,
Or the enemy that received it?
Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh.
There's a video of...
I never even thought of that happening, but it had to have.
I think there's a video of Axelson when he surrounded the lone survivor, one of the guys that died in the whole lone survivor thing, SEAL Team 10. And there's a video of the dude saying, "Surrender, we will treat you humanely." And Axelson goes, "Fuck you."
Right.
They didn't show that in the movie, but there's a video of him doing that. It's 4 dudes like surrounded by like so it is a beautiful thing. I will say, like, I mean, you know how I am about violence, but it is there's nothing like, you know, being in a bad situation.
Yeah, a brotherhood that comes out of it.
Yeah, it's
Being
like
pushed to your last limit and like still going. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, there's like part of that kind of sounds exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's I've known way too many people to come back and be traumatized from the things that they've seen and been a part of. So, you know, on this side of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the brotherhood, you know what I mean? Which I'm sure those elements are there, but, you know, PTSD is real.
Yeah, it was very interesting, you know, listening to Hardcore History and like all
Is that interesting one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those guys, I mean, you know, they just didn't talk about it. You know, they were not encouraged to talk about their PTSD and stuff like that. But the suicide rates when they came back was comparatively much lower than the suicide rates that we have now. So, you know, it's a big mystery to everybody. You know, who you know, who has a mind for war, who doesn't, who's gonna run, who's not, who's gonna who's gonna fire the round the RPG, who's not.
Real.
You can't tell, you can't know who's gonna do what.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are not like, you know, it's literally impossible to tell. I've been in situations where like, oh, that guy is he's squared away.
Yeah.
And they weren't. And then the other guy, like, oh, that guy's soft.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
Yeah.
you can't know until you're in that situation. So,
yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, the concept of surrender is a very interesting idea, because you have SEER school when you're going, especially if you're going to a combat zone, survival, evasion, resistance, escape.
Yeah.
And you always get captured, and they teach you how to function as a captured person.
Yeah.
But you have people that have this idea that they just make a decision that they're not going to get captured. They're going to die or they're going to get out, but they're not going to let themselves get captured.
Yeah, I don't think I would do well being captured.
That Axelson, his dad, that was the last thing his dad told him before he went to deploy.
He said what?
Don't let the enemy take you. So he told his son.
Yeah.
Axelson's dad was in Vietnam. I mean, everybody says that. You could say that. You could say I'm not going to get taken. But, you know, if you're seeing people drop around you like flies and somebody's saying, look, you can surrender, it's not that simple.
Yeah, but I feel like... what will they do to you if they get you?
Well, they're going to do bad stuff to you. But it's the whole... When you have that discussion...
And then sometimes you wish you were dead and now you can't be.
When you have that discussion with, you know...
Yikes.
You have that discussion with yourself.
Yeah.
And you say, you know...
Well, I mean, if you have a family, then yeah. That would change things. If I had kids waiting at home for me and stuff like that, then I'd get captured, I guess.
Well, there you go.
No, I know. I'm saying if I was a single... But I don't know if I would put myself in that situation with a family. I think I'd rather go while I was single.
Well, I mean, a lot of these guys, World War I, man. Like, I mean, what are you going to do?
I know. They got drafted.
It's not even that. It's just that you had an objectively bad group of people. It's like, these are bad people. It's not like now where it's like,
yeah.
Oh, we're going to go to Iraq. What did this poor guy in Iraq do to me?
Right.
Or what's he doing to the planet?
Yeah.
You know, Afghanistan at the beginning of 9/11, sure. But Iraq? I mean, believe me, I have nothing but respect and love for everybody that got deployed to Iraq. Believe me. But what I'm saying is, it's just the wars are different.
Yeah.
And in World War I, World War II, pretty much any dude that you know that has any virtue whatsoever would have been over there. Because you know, same thing, World War II, same thing. You're looking at like an existential crisis.
Yeah.
And there's a defined good and evil. And the people that you're killing are people that are part of a really evil enterprise.
Yeah,
Not saying that they're
changes things.
individually evil, because I
Right.
believe there are a lot of good people that were just fighting for Deutschland, and that's it. But I mean, so I you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of dudes that gave up life with their family and all that to fight against that stuff, and that's why I really appreciate a band like this. Apparently, they do this a lot. They talk about this stuff a lot, like war and things like
Well,
that. SABATON.
They're the ones that, remember I said that there was somebody that had asked for Schindler's List. They did a song, I think it's called
Final Solution or something like
Final
that.
Solution, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, after hearing this one, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to hear that other one, because I wonder like what they bring into it. Like, I don't know. Just be curious. When I looked fast, I thought that guy in the back was Zen.
Was Zen?
Yeah, because with the black hair, the pale skin.
Okay, the black hair, pale skin. Shout out to the big homie Zen.
Shut up! I'm sure you won't see this video.
What'd you think of the music?
I liked it. I just, you know, sometimes I think it does me good to hear something that's uplifting.
Yes.
You know, and this had that rising action that like we're gonna get out of it, and strength and honor and good things. And so I like that, and I like the spirit of the.
Yeah, I always think to myself about the what do you call it? You always think to yourself, what if you're the surrounded person, right? But then I wonder if you ever think to yourself, what if you're the people that are surrounding the surrounded people?
Oh, I know. I
Because-
literally thought of both.
Because then it's like, wait a second, these guys that we're outnumbering them, but people are dropping like flies.
Yeah.
And they're not surrendering.
Yeah.
So like eventually we're gonna win, but I wonder if you start doing the math, like wait a second, we're gonna beat these people eventually. But eventually means more of us are gonna die. And one of those more of us could be me. Like,
Yeah.
do you start like hiding behind a tree? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you start, because it's like, if you're doing this battle of attrition thing, it's like, okay, yes, the math says we'll win, but now we're talking about human bodies now.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I wonder if there's a point when you're the outnumbering force where you start going, shit,
This isn't good.
right? Like the Lone Survivor stuff was different because they had the high ground,
Yeah.
and they had set up all their automatics and all their technicals, and it was really, really well done. And they weren't losing a lot of people. I know there's a lot of like, 4 guys killed like 150 people. That's not true. They didn't kill 150 in there. That's not what happened. So, like, it's a really crazy situation for the people who are doing it. So if you're like outnumbering, and if you don't have the obvious high ground like those guys did in Afghanistan, you know, and then all your friends start dropping like flies, and it's like your commander's like, we're eventually gonna win. It's like, yeah, sure, eventually. So I mean, obviously, I'm an American, so I'm gonna, those guys are heroes. But I think it takes a different type.
So do you know what situation they're talking about? What was it? What was the name of it?
The Lost Battalion. The battle is lost in Argonne.
Argonne, yeah. I was just I thought it was Argonne.
Just assuming it's one of those situations where you're surrounded and you're outnumbered, but it's like.
I was thinking about how
It's crazy. What I was saying was there's a certain type of bravery that even when you're the outnumbering force that you have to have, and a certain type of mental toughness that you still have to have that says, I'm going to see this through, we're going to win, and I might not even get to see the victory. And what I'm saying is those guys were mentally tough as well. Obviously, you're not going to see that in a song like this.
Right. Right.
And obviously one is greater than the other, but I still think it takes a lot of, stick-to-itiveness and mental toughness to endure that.
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
That's different.
For sure. I was thinking about the implications of the enemy receiving the ammunition and stuff like that. Yeah,
I know.
And like, so I was like picturing, because obviously we believe that everything happens because God is the author of it. Yeah,
Right.
so He determined it would happen. And so I'm like, I don't know, was there somebody on the enemy side that was like, God, you have to help us. We need more ammunition. And then the ammunition, God's like, fine, I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm still gonna let these guys out. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
I don't know, just like thinking that through.
Well, that's why I always say, like, you're never supposed to speculate on what God's purposes are in the middle of a situation, because then you could say, oh shit, that means God wants us to surrender.
Yeah.
How else could it be?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you make your decision, you're gonna die, that's it.
Yeah.
Golly, war, but that's why war is hell, man. You know, like, on the one hand, like, we're glorifying this stuff, and I think there's an element of virtue on both sides. Because, like I said, I think there's a difference between what the institution is doing and what the individual soldier does. And so, I'm not going to completely... Nazism is demonic. But, and first of all, 1918, there were no Nazis around, technically. So this was a war Hitler was fighting in. So... So these guys, it's just amazing bravery on both sides. And I listen to hardcore history. You know, you heard about those German kids. It's like 20,000 of them. They all got mowed down. You know, because they got sent in early. It's just like complete and total utter waste of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, it's sad. And you just wish that, you know, I've seen things across. You know, I've seen things. So you kind of. You get kind of you do away with the idea that your kids are going to live forever, and there's a category in your head like your kid might die if you see enough of that stuff across the world. So then you say to yourself, well, if my kid dies, I want it to be for a good reason. So you know, so you imagine being a mom and getting, you know, the news that your kid went out fighting, you know, with his brothers. I mean.
Yeah. Yep.
You know. Hey. Alright, what did you think of the song? What do you grade it?
9. I really enjoyed it.
The metal was kind of generic to me, man.
I liked that it was just rising.
I like the vocalization. I was very inspired, which is the design of what the lyrics were, what it was designed to do. I like that part about it. You know, for me to get into the 9 range, I would have had to have seen something unique, and just the metal wise, it was just kind of generic for me. So it's a solid 8.5 for me.
There you have it.
There you are. Vin out.
Story out.
Gone.
They made their stand, they stood strong, and the legend still lives on.